Welcome to the Day Report. This is Ben Day and we're reporting from Loveland area. The riders have just gone past Carter Lake and they are now on the approach to Buckhorn Canyon. This could be a pivotal part of the race today. Very difficult climb. Let's see which sprinters make it over and which ones don't. As I get run over by a police car. Better get out of the way. John Murphy, 10 apart, very fast stage. Obviously the first goal was to make sure Keel wrapped up the points jersey for this tour. That looks fairly solid now. But then, you know, obviously there's a stage result as well. How did it pan out there?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, so we obviously, you can see from the footage that we rode the first two sprints and got maximum points for Keel. And I think that I haven't looked at a breakdown because when you're racing at this altitude, you can't really do math. So I think he's pretty secure. And then in the finish, we tried to run the breakdown, but we came up a little bit short. So just dress rehearsal for tomorrow.
For me, it was just making it over the climbs and getting back on the descent for the lead out. But yeah, honestly, I don't know what was going on up front.
What about you? Did you know what was going on up front?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was actually kind of pretty reasonably comfortable for me on the hills. So I knew we were going to run short on the break with 10 Ks to go. We could see them, but they were like quite a ways up, a couple Ks ahead of us. Yeah, you know, the boys tried and, you know, we did the sprint and it was good. So like I said, we'll just shoot for tomorrow and see where the points are for Keel, and priority number one would be to keep that jersey.
Is it hard to calculate when you need to be pulling the brake back? At what point do you realise that, you know, we really need to put the hammer down now?
Yeah, so actually we were in really good position today with Danny Summerhill on the brake. And so we got the back seat today. We were able to just kind of take a sit and let the rest of the teams deal with it. But unfortunately, it looks like Danny crashed on the descent after the Cat 2. So that's where we really had to dig to start chasing, and it kind of put it. We were a little bit, you know, behind the eight ball a bit at that point, and I think that's kind of where everything kind of went sour for us.
There's never any guarantees here, are there?
No, that's bike racing, right?
Thanks for your time, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. Time to get into the nuts and bolts of John Murphy's performance today. So John Murphy had an important role today for Team United Healthcare. The goal was to retain the green jersey of Keel Ryan and give him a bit of a buffer in that competition. His role was to lead Keel out for the first two intermediate sprints. And we can see the first one here. Over 1 minute and 5 seconds, he averaged 617 watts. The second lead out, which didn't come much longer after that, was 45 seconds at 584 watts. We jumped quickly across to the Pioneer Cyclosphere side here just to have a look at those two lead-out sprints. In one of them, he maxed out at 1,589 watts, which is a pretty impressive number. So here we're looking at just a 7-second segment of one of those lead-outs, and we're going to scroll down and look at his pedaling efficiency through this. 72%, and as we've seen all week, that has been a number that seems to pop up once the guys really put a lot of pressure down on the pedals. One other thing that I'd like to focus on here is looking at the direction of the vectors in each hour around the clock here on the pedals. So you can see here he's pushing down nicely, getting good force application down through the pedals, but then also on the upstroke, and he's standing at this point, he's also making sure that he's got no resistance against the pedal and is actually adding to his overall power by pulling up just a little bit up and over the top before getting around to the top end of the circle again. So very impressive pedaling technique by John Murphy. So a big thing to note here is the control that United Healthcare took early on in this race. They really wanted to put that green jersey in the bag, and they've almost done that. Not quite there yet. One more stage tomorrow. But if we can see, those two intermediate sprints were very early on in the stage. I'm just going to highlight the first 60 minutes of the race here for Murphy. It's just a little bit after the first 10 minutes into the race or so. Here we see that over a 60-minute period, John averaged 381 normalized watts during that time. So normalized watts are basically more or less taking the zeros out of the effort. So it's like the physiological effort that the body's undergoing as opposed to just the mechanical output. So 339 average watts, 381 normalized watts. big numbers. And once again, you know, we spoke about this yesterday. Now that the guys are back down and racing at 5,000 feet, they'll have the ability to be able to push out a lot more power. Scrolling down to later on in the race here, we're looking at the final mile, 1.6 kilometres up to the top of Risk Canyon. So this is a very steep part of the race. I'll just highlight that here. So 7 minutes and 20 seconds, average of 413 watts. And we can see that the average gradient was 13.5% during this period. Very difficult top of that climb. John Murphy, a big, strong sprinter, did really well to make it over the top and keep his chances there to contest the sprint for the finale of the stage. Finally, down here, we can see the lead out. They didn't catch the break. You know, the team were mainly focused on securing that green jersey. Their second goal was to win the stage with either John Murphy or Kia Rainen. Unfortunately, the break just on this day was too good and everything was mistimed. They weren't able to pull the break back. So they were sprinting for 7th place at that point. His final lead out, just to make sure that Kiel got a couple more points in the green jersey sprint competition, was 10 seconds down here and was tied like that at 1,050 watts. Kiel came in 9th in the stage, 3rd in the bunch sprint, and on to the next day tomorrow to secure the green jersey. And so Murphy is one of those crazy descenders, and he hit a top speed today of 98.3 kilometres an hour, which is 61 miles per hour down Risk Canyon in towards Fort Collins. Super fast guy. He's got great technique on the bike, and good luck trying to keep up with him. Thanks for joining us today for Stage 6 from Loveland to Fort Collins. Tomorrow the riders go on to Golden, where the women will have a circuit race in the morning, and the men will race from Golden to Denver in the afternoon. It will be a 110 kilometre stage for them to wrap up this year's USA Pro Challenge. Thanks for joining us.